Welcome to another edition of Talking Models. Today we're going to continue our look at the Big Head Universal Monsters from Earthbound Studios. Today is Frankenstein, as portrayed by Boris Karloff in the classic movie. Many of you remember that movie and that first time that he opened that dungeon door and backed up, and we didn't see his face until he turned around. Then it was an extreme close-up of his eyes. Audiences gasped. Audiences ran from the theater. Back in the 30s, that was something they were not used to seeing. Today, I'm afraid we're used to seeing so much more, aren't we? There's just something about the Universal Monsters, the classics. I love them. Well, let's take a look at this beautiful piece. Sculpted by Jeff Yagher, and it's beautifully molded and casted by Brokaw of Earthbound Studios. And we're going to spin it around a little bit so you can take a look at it today. You can see you have Frankenstein on top of a dungeon base with the nameplate in the front. And as you spin it around, you can see that the dungeon floor continues, and then you have a couple of electrodes on each side of the base. And it's really basically two-piece kit. And you see the dungeon floor just continues around the wall. The kit comes to you with this head, the two bolts, and then the base, and then the nameplate. So pretty straightforward. Cleanup was extremely minimal. Of course, that's a true fact from all the kits from Earthbound Studios. Mark, you rock. So, what we did to start with this is my traditional base coat of black, and I did that for the complete piece. Everything was base coated in black. That's where I started. And we'll start with the base. For the base, I just started using yellow orch, which is a color you can get from Jesse over at Garage US Colors. I'll have his information in here for you. I simply just started spraying all the parts of the base with the yellow orch all the way around, tops, sides, just completely around. And then the fun begins. Now you begin to shade it. So for that, I enlisted transparent raw umber and transparent dark brown, and of course transparent black. So once you have the yellow orch as your base coat for it, then you just start shading. I just started coming in and I took the transparent raw umber and misted the whole piece. That way it kind of tones down that yellowish look, but it also gives it a brownish hue, which when you combine it with the yellow orch, you get a beautiful color, in my opinion, as you see here. Then it's simply coming in with the transparent dark brown and just hitting all the crevices of the rocks all the way around the base. Just keep hitting them. Don't worry about hitting it too hard. The deeper you go, to me, you get more depth and you get more shadow. And that's what you're trying to do. Then, of course, when I was done with that process, I come in with the transparent black and I mist the entire piece. Basically, you just keep, what I usually do is hold the brush back about this far and I just continue spraying. Probably, I would say 2 spins, and then that's fine. Then what you want to do is come back in with your original color, whatever color you choose. If you follow my pattern, you come back in with the yellow orch, and you basically just simply start hitting the center of the rocks. Just the center of each stone that goes around the base. Kind of gives you that center point where it just punches it up in here. And again, if you get too close to it, or if you make a mistake, just take your transparent black and just kind of tone it down, and it just brings it right back down again. And really, that was all I did with the base. Now for the electrodes, over the black, basically I came in with another color from Garage US Colors, which was Deep Pearl Gold. Loaded up the airbrush and just sprayed it. As you can see on both sides of the electrodes, I just continued spraying it. I did come in a little bit heavier on the top of the electrode, and basically coming down with the airbrush, I just sprayed so it would pick up all the highlighted areas on both sides. That way you get, like if you look at something down over a light, you see the natural shadowing. And that's what I tried to make that illusion with this, hitting the high points and everything going down. Then once you do that, you come in with your transparent black, and you simply just tone the whole piece down. And it gives you go a little bit heavier in some areas. That's why in this you can see a little bit of the gold and a little bit of black. That's because I just kind of lightly brought some black in, kind of to make it dirty. Now you could probably do that same thing. If I were to redo this again today, I might use the transparent raw umber over the gold and bring it down a little bit, because it really does bring that dirtiness to it, if you know what I mean. You could also do these electrodes in red oxide, which is another thing I would probably do today if I were to redo this piece. I would probably use the combination of the gold and the red oxide, similar to what I did in the Formula for Life. I used that combination in that, and I really liked the results. And that was an accident. But now it's up here. And now for the front, for the base plate, pretty straightforward. Over the black, I just came in with a red, and I believe for this I used the Ripper Red, which is from the Badger Freakflex line, and I simply just hand painted those in. You know, did probably 2 or 3 coats. I just went light, wanted to build up the color without seeing the brush strokes that you get when you use a brush. Now for around the nameplate area itself, I simply took some it was like an aged metal from an old color set that I have, and simply just dry brush that all the way around. And that's the base. Pretty straightforward and pretty easy to do. Takes some time, and you know, it's building up your colors, your shades, your crevices, everything that you need to do, but just take your time. Again, treat it as 2 kits, the base and the head, and you'll be fine. Concentrate, get it done, put it aside. I start with the base first, like I've mentioned in all my videos. Dictates what I want to do with the head. Now for his head. Frankenstein can be done in many colors. I've seen him in a fleshy tone, which I have done before. Traditionally, you always hear of green, and that's what I chose to go with this classic piece. So with this, basically, what I did is over the black, I came in with olive green, and I simply just started spraying the entire piece with the olive green. Then after I was done with that, I lightly misted it with transparent black, and then my favorite color for Frankenstein, catch this name, Frankenflesh, available through Badger in their Freakflex line. Simply just to me, the perfect color for him. It's like a greenish gray, and it just works. So I loaded up my airbrush and put some thinner in there. If you spray that Freakflex paint through an airbrush without thinner, you will clog it up. Then you're taking it apart, pulling everything out, using your little cleaners to try to get all that paint out, because it's a strong paint that is designed to adhere to your model. So mix it up, thin it down, and simply I just started spraying that over the entire piece, just hitting all the areas of it. You know, the forehead's a little bit heavier, and some of the cheekbones, on the nose, above the lips, the chin, follow his chin line, the ears, just any of them highlighted areas, so you can kind of just give it a different look. And that, you see what it does here, it just gives it just a different look. Then with that, I came in with the transparent black again, lightly, couple quick mists to bring it down, And then I used the transparent black to hit all the folds in his skin, along here, under his eyes, the sides of his eyes, a little bit heavier under his eyes, just above his eyelids, because Frankenstein always had that sunken in look. And Boris Karloff had that sunken in look a lot too, because he was very underweight. But you can also simulate that with your painting by your shadowing and just deepening the crevices of a model kit. So I did that all the way around, everywhere that you can see crevices in the face on this. Jeff just beautifully captured this, and there's so much detail. So just have fun with it. Just go in and hit all your highlight areas. I like to use the transparent black to follow the hairline, so it goes from the greenish into the hair, so you get a natural flow. And basically that's really all I did with his skin. Then you can, just come in, hit minor spots after that process, and just maybe come in a little bit more with your Frankenflesh and just hit the highlighted areas, just to kind of give it a nice finished look, if you will. The lips was airbrushed with transparent black, and of course on his scar areas, those were just basically airbrushed with a dark red, which is also from Garage US Colors. Just I took out my chrome airbrush and just shot in all the areas here of the scars, on the outline. Then I took some pastels, which is like David Fisher said years ago, the cheap man's airbrush. And I just took some purple and did the outer edges of both scars to give it that bruised look. And then of course I take some original red of pastel and just kind of go a little bit heavier right in the cracks of the scars themselves. Just gives it a nice finished look. His bolts for his neck, simply just dry brush some silver over the black. I do like using the airbrush for silver because it gives you that nice finished look, but I'm telling you guys, maybe you're going to hear me here. Can you feel what I'm going to say? Silver clogs the airbrush. Jesse, figure something out where you can get a nice one that just flows. Thin it down. Yes, we have to thin it down, but I guess it's just the particles in it, that metallic that makes it do it. But it can be a pain. So, I kind of cheat and bring out old school dry brushing and just dry brushed both of the neck bolts. And a little trick I like to do with that is then I bring out my transparent black and just kind of shadow them, kind of deepen that silver look, and it kind of gets rid of some of that maybe dry brush spots that you may have left, kind of blends all that together. And again, then I took some of the purple and I actually airbrushed some purple around the area here to show a bruised look, from the, I guess having bolts stuck in your neck would cause some bruising, right? And basically that was his complete head. Pretty straightforward on this guy. Pretty straightforward. His eyes were base coated with neutral gray. I usually hand brush in, and it's an airbrush paint from Garage US Colors. I just put it in my little mixing cup and just kind of brush it in. Now it's going to run because it's very thin. It's for an airbrush, so take your time. Another good color for eyes is Bleach Bone Tan, which is from Badger Freak Flex. That's a good base coat for eyes also. I'm out of it. Going to be hitting you up pretty soon on that one over there at Badger. So be ready, Ken. So after that, I basically, I like to circle in the eyes. Just use some black. And usually I just kind of, with a real fine brush, just make, well, this is easy because you don't have to really do the whole eye. Just make 2 moons on each side. Kind of look at it, find the center, just a moon on each side. And then I usually just fill the eye in then with the black once I make sure the placement is correct. And then to come in for his eyes on this one, I basically decided I wanted to go with something brown, but straight up brown can be hard. So it's really kind of difficult to find that. So I tried a trick, and basically what I did is I went in and used some Rotten Tooth Tan from Badger Freak Flex and simply did his eye color in that. And I thought, hey, that looks pretty cool. So that's what I used for his eye color. And then, of course, the finishing touch is the pupil. Just take your time, find the center, and just try the little moon technique. A lot of times what I'll do on these too is I'll take a pastel in black and just kind of just circle motion and get it. And once I see it's in there, it's like, boom, there it is. And then I will take the actual black paint and just follow in my pastel and make the circle. It works pretty good. Give it a try. The bottom of the eyes, I like to use the red oxide to follow the bottom of the eye part. Gives it that nice reddish look to it, kind of that distraught look. And then that's how I finish out the eye. For the eyelid, you want to make sure you come back in with that Freak Flex and hit it a little heavier on the eyelid itself. That way you get the contrast from the black to the eye. And really that was all I did with his eyes. And I do like to take a pastel after I finish the eyes and just kind of feather in the outside of the eye on both sides. And it gives it a natural look. If you look at your eye, it kind of feathers. It's not like a perfect circle. It just feathers. And I do the same for the pupil. I just kind of follow that around. It kind of gives it that soft look, if you will. And then simply after that, the hair was just basically airbrushed with transparent black, believe it or not. I did about 2 or 3 coats of that. It just gave it a nice, not really dark black, but just as you see, just a nice flow of black to it. His suit coat jacket was airbrushed with tie-in brown from the Garage US Colors. Simply just sprayed the whole thing with that tie-in brown, then just came back in with transparent black, lightened it up a little bit and hit the heavy with the folds with that transparent black to give it a dirty look. On his inside shirt area, pulled out the Badger Freak Flex Nair Black, thinned it down, sprayed it through the airbrush, sprayed the whole area, and then basically just shadowed it with the transparent black to bring it back down. And that is Frankenstein from Earthbound Studios, which I believe is still available. I'm going to put Mark Brokaw's information in here and a link to his Facebook page. Check out his stuff. One of the best guys in the hobby I've ever met. I mean, sincere, excited, and does quality work. And very affordable. Very affordable. So give it a check. Order yourself one. And look at all the other big heads he has. And just get excited and buy some. We're going to continue the series of this as we go on, probably for the next 5 or 6 segments. The next one will be the Mummy. You won't want to miss it. So you can tune in probably in the next week for the next installment of Talking Models with Troy Naird. And you will see the Mummy by Earthbound Studios. So again, thank you today for stopping in to Talking Models, for watching this video, sharing this video, and for subscribing. Please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers. Can you help me today? Will you help me get to 100? Of course, I'm going to want 200, but 100 is a great start. Just to know that you guys appreciate this channel and you like watching and talking models, maybe learning something new. So again, thank you for stopping in. Have a great day today, and may God bless.